The film begins by showing a beautiful girl named Shiqiao, who suffers from a mysterious illness where her life will be in danger if she becomes too exhausted. Therefore, to save her life, the doctor has to give Shiqiao an additional dose to reduce the risk of muscle paralysis. Unfortunately, because of this illness, Shiqiao also loses some of her memories. As a result, Shiqiao always records the events she has just experienced so she can remember what she did before. In her daily life, Shiqiao works as a clown at an amusement park. On that day, there was a concert being held at the park, but suddenly, a chicken belonging to one of the band members escaped, causing the audience to panic. Unexpectedly, Shiqiao, who was working as a clown, became the only person who managed to catch the chicken. As Shiqiao caught the chicken, she suddenly hiccuped, which made Gong Ning recognize her. After a long conversation between them, Gong Ning gave her his phone number and then went back to perform, as his friend had signaled that the show was about to start again. When she arrived home, Shiqiao's mother approached her daughter, who had been smiling to herself since earlier. Suddenly, Shiqiao asked her mother whether the medicine she had been taking was making her stupid because her memory seemed to be getting weaker day by day. In addition, Shiqiao also mentioned that she had just met Gong Ning, who was her former classmate. The next day, at the amusement park, Gong Ning was seen looking for Shiqiao, but he couldn't find her because she was working as a clown there. After searching various places, Gong Ning finally found Shiqiao, and they began talking about the past, which brought them closer together. At home, Shiqiao's mother seemed worried about her daughter's condition because she saw Shiqiao listening to the radio while recording her own voice. At that moment, Shiqiao's mother could only hide her sadness before deciding to leave Shiqiao alone in her room. A few days later, Shiqiao and Gong Ning went on a date, which they had planned when they met previously. At night, it suddenly started to rain, so they took shelter near someone's house. As the rain began to subside, the music from the house owner started playing, prompting Gong Ning to invite Shiqiao to dance together. Unfortunately, while they were enjoying their dance, Shiqiao's mother suddenly arrived and immediately asked who Gong Ning was, demanding that he show his student ID and identification. However, Gong Ning said he didn't have anything with him. At that moment, Gong Ning also asked Shiqiao's mother for permission to meet Shiqiao again, but her answer disappointed him because he was not granted permission to see Shiqiao, and they eventually parted ways. A few days later, at home, Shiqiao looked happy because her mother had gone out, allowing her to meet Gong Ning. As the result, she played loud music and sang while jumping around. When she reached the living room, she was surprised to find her mother still at home, as she had decided to stay and take care of Shiqiao. Hearing this, Shiqiao was startled but tried to remain calm because her illness prevented her from getting too exhausted. After that, Shiqiao's mother told her to go back to her room. In her room, Shiqiao felt sad because she couldn't meet Gong Ning, but then she discovered that Gong Ning was already on the roof of her house. Shiqiao then gave him some food and sang a song for him using her recorder. Without Shiqiao realizing it, her mother suddenly entered the room and asked Gong Ning to come down and meet her. It turns out that Shiqiao's mother wasn't angry, but instead invited him to join them for dinner. At that time, Gong Ning was seen wearing a mask because, while on the roof, he had gotten sunburned. Additionally, Gong Ning received good news that he was allowed to visit Shiqiao, although he had to return home before it got too late. Days passed, and the relationship between Gong Ning and Shiqiao grew closer. During this time, Gong Ning invited Shiqiao to meet his bandmates. From that meeting, Shiqiao's condition began to change, as the sadness on her face disappeared. Afterward, they went to a ballet club, and there, Shiqiao took out her recorder to capture the sound of the dancers' footsteps as they practiced. After visiting the ballet club, Shiqiao told Gong Ning that her mother forbade her from moving too quickly or running. On their way home, Gong Ning was suddenly startled by the sight of his father in a heated argument over alcohol. At that time, his father wanted to drink alcohol but didn't have enough money to pay for it. Feeling embarrassed by the gathering crowd, Gong Ning decided to pay for the drink. Sometime later, Gong Ning's father was seen helping people cross the street in the rain. At the same time, Gong Ning looked sad, standing in the rain while holding and stroking his necklace as he watched. The next day, Shiqiao visited Gong Ning and immediately noticed that he was in a bad mood, so she decided to clean his guitar. Seeing this, Gong Ning invited Shiqiao to come to his performance a few days later, even though he was still in a bad mood. As a sign of support, Shiqiao gave him an item that might serve as a charm. Sometime later, the day of the concert arrived, which made Shiqiao very happy because Gong Ning had invited her to come. She was also thrilled to be dating Gong Ning, even though they had different tastes in music, as he was a fan of rock music. As he was about to perform on stage, Gong Ning asked Shiqiao to wait for him outside because the performance would be very noisy and crowded with fans. Time passed, but Gong Ning didn't return to meet her. After waiting for a long time, Shiqiao decided to leave and placed a drink with a sad face on it. Shortly after, Gong Ning finally arrived with a bruised face as if he had been in a fight. When he saw the drink Shiqiao had left with a sad face, Gong Ning felt disappointed in himself. A few days later, feeling bad about how things had gone, Gong Ning decided to visit Shiqiao. However, when he got there, Shiqiao seemed to ignore his attempts to talk. Despite this, Gong Ning persisted in trying to speak with her, and eventually, they began to talk to each other. Shiqiao then asked for the item she had previously given to Gong Ning and questioned why he didn't come when she was waiting outside the stage. Gong Ning admitted that after the concert, he and his friends drank alcohol, which led to a fight. However, the reason given by Gong Ning didn't make sense to Shiqiao, so she decided to leave him. The next day, while at campus, Shiqiao was surprised by the sound of singing coming from Gong Ning in front of her class. It turned out that he was doing this to apologize to Shiqiao. Additionally, when Gong Ning finished singing, a large apology message was revealed, showing that he felt very sorry for disappointing her that day. After the song ended, everyone who heard it immediately applauded, and the expression on Shiqiao's face showed that she had forgiven Gong Ning to the point that she decided to skip class to meet him. This was the first time Shiqiao had ever skipped class, so if her mother found out, it would be a big problem. Additionally, they decided to go on another date. With Gong Ning carrying her on his back, Shiqiao had fun, and they eventually arrived at the beach. At that moment, Shiqiao greatly admired Gong Ning because he could shout, sing, and enjoy his youth, whereas she couldn't exert herself too much because it could endanger her life. That day happened to be Shiqiao's birthday, but she felt sad because it was the first time Shiqiao didn't celebrate her birthday with her mother. Even so, Shiqiao had made plans with Gong Ning to celebrate this special day. Unfortunately, while Shiqiao was waiting at the cafe, Gong Ning never showed up and the night wore on. Feeling disappointed again, Shiqiao finally decided to go home. On her way home, Shiqiao saw Gong Ning's father and Gong Ning himself looking sad and surrounded by people. Seeing this, Shiqiao felt confused and didn't know what had happened. Days passed, and Gong Ning apologized to Shiqiao for not meeting her at the cafe, explaining that he had some issues to handle. After that, Gong Ning returned to his usual hangout place to reflect. Until Shiqiao's mother suddenly arrived, bringing a sum of money and saying that the contract they had agreed upon was now completed. It turns out that all this time, the fake Gong Ning, whose real name is Lucius, had been hired by Shiqiao's mother to replace the real Gong Ning, whose voice had been recorded by Shiqiao. Since Lucius had financial problems, Shiqiao's mother planned to hire him to play the role of the fake Gong Ning, with the aim of improving Shiqiao's psychological condition and avoiding disappointment related to the recordings she had made. Additionally, Shiqiao's mother chose Lucius because, out of all the bands she looked into, his band had a character very similar to the real Gong Ning. After agreeing, Lucius introduced himself and his band members to Shiqiao's mother during dinner, all in an effort to make Shiqiao fall in love with him. If Lucius succeeded in fulfilling what Shiqiao's mother asked, he would receive all the money in the bank along with the pin. The scene then shifts back to the beginning of the story, where the previously planned dance between Lucius and Shiqiao is shown, including the moment when he got into a fight at the performance venue while Shiqiao was waiting for him outside the stage. At the same time, Shiqiao's mother was angry with Lucius for leaving her daughter alone for 3 hours, which was not in accordance with the agreed-upon contract. The scene then shows a flashback of Lucius apologizing and inviting Shiqiao on a date to the beach. During that time, something unexpected happened, causing Lucius to truly fall in love with Shiqiao, and they kissed amidst the crashing waves. After learning about this, Shiqiao's mother became very angry, but Lucius explained that it was necessary to make it look convincing, like a real couple. Additionally, when Lucius did not come to meet Shiqiao at the cafe, it was because he was trying to stop his father, who was having a problem. Apparently, Lucius's father was severely stressed after losing his wife, who died after being hit by a car. Because of this, Lucius's father decided to help people cross the street every day to prevent a similar fate. When road repairs were underway, Lucia's father went into a rage and insisted on directing traffic, refusing to leave the spot. It was at this moment that Lucia's true identity was finally revealed to Shiqiao, and the contract they had previously made was cancelled. After the contract was cancelled, Shiqiao gave Lucia the recordings she had been making all this time. In those recordings, Shiqiao tells the story of a man who lost his wife during a rainstorm and who would always stand at the crossroads whenever it rained to direct traffic, in order to prevent a similar accident. Shiqiao also explained that the man was Lucia's father, and since she was 14 years old, she had been deeply moved by this story and wanted to meet the man. Shiqiao also realized that Lucia and his father rarely communicated, which led to their constant arguments whenever they met. Therefore, Shiqiao suggested that he meet his father at the crossroads while wearing the same raincoat as a sign of understanding. After hearing Shiqiao's advice, Lucia went to meet his father at the crossroads and immediately asked him to stop doing that. From that day on, they finally understood each other, and Lucia's father promised not to get drunk anymore, even though he would still be at the crossroads to prevent another accident like the one that took his wife. In the end, they directed traffic together, and the relationship between father and son became harmonious again. Days passed, and when Lucia returned from his band's place, he was very surprised to find Shiqiao in the room. It turns out that Shiqiao was not angry even though he had confessed to being the fake Gong Ning. Instead, Shiqiao had cleaned the room and washed Lucia's towel. Moved by this, Lucia immediately hugged her, and Shiqiao hugged him back. That night, while Shiqiao was drawing in her room, she received a message from Lucia asking her to go outside and head to the terrace. There, he had prepared artificial snow along with a snowman to cheer up Shiqiao. Sometime later, Lucia's real girlfriend became jealous because he had fallen in love with Shiqiao. However, Lucia insisted on dating Shiqiao instead of his real girlfriend. As a result, Lucia's real girlfriend told him to destroy his beloved guitar if he truly loved Shiqiao. Unexpectedly, Lucia took the guitar and smashed it. After that, Lucia and Shiqiao went to the ballet club to sign Shiqiao up to perform there because Lucia's friend mentioned that the club needed one more person to complete a performance, which turned out to be an idea from his ex-girlfriend. Upon learning this, Lucia thanked his ex-girlfriend because it allowed Shiqiao to experience something she had always enjoyed. At the same time, his ex-girlfriend could only smile as she left the two of them there. A few days later, after completing her daily checkup, Shiqiao arrived home, but her mother was shocked to see a package containing dance shoes. Shiqiao's mother immediately approached Lucia and asked if he was the one who had signed Shiqiao up for dancing. Additionally, Shiqiao's mother was angry because that was the reason the contract was cancelled. Despite this, Lucia didn't care because he wanted Shiqiao to live her life to the fullest. After that, Shiqiao began practicing dancing. Although she appeared tired, she ignored her fatigue and continued practicing. Meanwhile, Lucia seemed worried about Shiqiao's condition. The scene continues with Lucia visiting Shiqiao at her house and meeting her in her room. At that moment, Shiqiao wanted to fulfill her dream of drinking alcohol, but Lucia immediately stopped her. Because of this, they became intimate in Shiqiao's room, while her mother could only watch silently as her daughter became intimate with Lucia. Sometime later, the dance event began, with Shiqiao's movements captivating the audience, earning her enthusiastic applause. However, at the end of the performance, the exhausted Shiqiao collapsed on stage, crying and laughing at the same time, while her mother looked worried about Shiqiao's condition as she lay on the stage. A few days later, Shiqiao's mother and Lucia met, as it turned out that Shiqiao had passed away. Because of this, Lucia asked Shiqiao's mother more about her. At that moment, Shiqiao's mother explained that she wasn't at all disappointed with the decision to have Lucia date her daughter. From that meeting, Shiqiao's mother also gave Lucia a final recording from her daughter to be given to him. While listening to the recording in the middle of the night, Lucia was shocked to hear Shiqiao call out his real name. It turned out that all this time, her memory hadn't completely faded, and she knew that her mother had planned everything. In the recording, Shiqiao instructed Lucia to return to the building and see something she had prepared for him, a picture that could glow in the dark. It turned out that all along, Shiqiao had been in love with him, causing Lucia to become sad and cry upon learning this. Additionally, for years ago, Shiqiao had already known that the real Gong Ning had died while trying to save a girl. So, the plan her mother had made wasn't in vain, because Shiqiao was no longer sad about losing Gong Ning. Instead, in her final moments, she was happy because she was able to meet Lucius, who became her last boyfriend. The film ends. Moral lesson from the story: remember, if you have memory problems, don't forget to write down where you left your shoes. Otherwise, you might end up dancing in a clown costume while trying to catch a chicken.